What is up, y'all? MMA Cannibal, and we just got some insane fight announcements yesterday. I mean, Dana White absolutely went off. He announced basically the entire main card for UFC 322. You can see the main event on my screen right now. Holy shit. Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. Motherfuckers online crying about, we already knew this. Motherfucker, it was not already announced, all right? Y'all gonna cry when the UFC goes so long with a fight that we know is gonna happen. You're like, announcement, where's the announcement? What card is it gonna be on? What card is it gonna be on? And then when it gets announced and y'all act like, we already knew this isn't nothing special, come up with something new. Bro, shut the fuck up. Y'all are impossible to please. We already knew all this. I'm calling you out right here, bro. No Limit Sue. Shut the fuck up. Like, you just being lame. You're just being lame. All right, this is a dope main event. Gotta be hyped for this shit. I'm so excited. Finally, MSG's getting a main event worthy of an arena like that. Not some dumb shit like Jones versus Miocic that we had to fucking play touch butt with for over 2 years. We're done with that. Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. This is easily, this gotta be like a top 3 best welterweight title fights of all time. I'm so excited for this matchup. Ever since JDM beat Bilal, I've had a feeling that he could do the same thing to Islam. You know, obviously based off his performance against Bilal, like I just said, but also when you look at the way Islam was able to, or I guess wasn't able to, get Poirier out of there early at his advanced age. Somebody like JDM, I kind of see very similarly in that sense. I don't think he'll be able to stuff as many takedowns as much, but I think he'll be able to roll with them very well. I think he'll be able to be patient, look for his moments, and explode out of moments really well. But I'm definitely going to have to think about this one a lot more. This is a close-ass fight, and as much as I've kind of been thinking JDM ever since he won the belt, it's definitely like Islam's just someone you can't count out. And that makes this fight just like, regardless of whether you're a fan of these guys, this is just a great fight. Just an excellent matchup. Islam versus an Australian is always fun. So, gotta love it. And then we're looking at the co-main event here. Finally, news on Wei Li Zhang, bro. I've been so sick. She's been low-key inactive as fuck, and it's been pissing me off. But she's such a G. I don't hate her, She's still, like, my favorite female fighter. That used to be Shevchenko, and then Zhang took it over. So this is my number 1 and 2 favorite female fighters going at it. And not only do I think it's 1 and 2, I mean, these guys are both top 5 all-time women fighters, in my opinion. And, I mean, honestly, like, if Zhang can wins this fight, I think she has a legit argument to be the greatest WMMA fighter of all time above Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes fought cans, bro, and she did not have 2 belts. This is a massive, point that I disagree with. Amanda Nunes was not a 2-division champion. All right, that featherweight division was non-existent. The only fight that gave it any credit was the Chris Cyborg one. After that one was over, that division didn't exist. It didn't. What were her title defenses? Can you name me one? The only one I can name you is Megan Anderson, and she got absolutely steamrolled. Did not deserve to be in a title fight. Was barely would have barely been ranked in any other division. Hell, she didn't even have a rank because the featherweights never had an official rankings in the UFC. There was never enough. It was just bantamweights that didn't feel like cutting every now and again. That's literally all it was. Like, the Nunes's featherweight belt is faker than any interim belt the UFC's ever put on. Like, case in point, in my opinion. Or whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. Like, end of story. Shevchenko, I mean, she's been the number 2 at WMMA GOAT. I mean, if you feel that way, behind Nunes, pretty much ever since they've had their fights together, and Shevchenko arguably beat her. So, I mean, honestly, Shevchenko beat Zhang. That's really better than any win Nunez has ever had. And then when you compare the rest of their bodies of work, I mean, it's not like Shevchenko is really like worse than Nunez. They're about even, if not Shevchenko's better, because she's got people on her resume like Alexa Grasso. She's got Joanna Jędrzejczyk on there. I mean, Tyler Santos, not too bad. Manon Fiorot, who she just beat, is pretty solid competition, especially given how big Manon was compared to her. It's like, damn, that's kind of like a solid win. Especially, putting a defense on your second title reign really is like a big emphasis on something. And you could be like, oh, well, she has her whole trilogy with Alexa Grasso that kind of made things like a little murky for a little bit there. But Nunez is 1-1 with Juliana fucking Pena, right? Like, you could say whatever you want about, I agree, the win was an absolute fluke. Nunez must have been like actively like on fentanyl in that fight to lose, but there's in no universe do I forgive that though. You know what I mean? Like, you still lost to Pena. That doesn't change that fact. Fluke or not, you should have never dropped that fight ever. So Shevchenko's GOAT status Nunez's GOAT status is definitely super shaky. She doesn't really have the resume, especially, just Shevchenko and Zhang. They're just putting on something special in these WMMA divisions as the champs go. And when was the last time? I don't know if we've ever had a woman fight for another belt besides Nunez. I don't think anyone has ever been able to have the opportunity for champ or even been able to move up. Like, that was part of the reason why we was kind of exciting when Rose finally changed divisions, because it was like, okay, well, now we've got a really solid fighter from one of these WMA divisions moving rather than just one of the mid ones moving around. And we've seen how that worked out. But this is something, man. Early thoughts, I'm kind of leaning towards Shevchenko a little bit, because I think her size, while I don't expect her to be like particularly bigger than Wei Li, like by a massive amount, especially since it's kind of been so long with radio silence, I expect Wei Li to have just been bulking throughout all that time and to be properly bigger for this. It's more so about how Valentina was able to deal with an opponent like Manon, who was like, whoa, bigger than her when I saw them in the cage against each other. To be able to overcome that definitely gives me the idea of like, she won't crumble to Wei Li's pressure and her grappling. But Wei Li could just be so fast and so technical. Both of these ladies are kind of old on the older side, but I think Wei Li is like 2 years younger, which as soon as you get up like past the 35 marks, I think that's when, 1 year, 2 years can really be that big of a difference, 33 versus 35, I don't think much of it, but 36 versus 38 is definitely like, okay, let me consider, because you're right on the border of 40. So I'm really 50-50. I kind of am leaning Shevchenko, but I think I'm going to end up settling on Wei Li, and I know that's kind of weird to say. Like, that's the most fence-sitting answer I could ever give, but that's where I'm at right now. And then the featured fight. Prates gets his wish, not in Rio, but, that's a hell of a fight regardless. And if he wins this, he's going to be above Ian Gary in the rankings, which I think is hilarious. I don't know what Ian Gary's doing. Sounds like, Sean Brady's been talking this and talking that. I kind of thought Ian Gary would be fighting Edwards, which is the reason why he wouldn't have been fighting Brady. And maybe that was the plan, but then Prates got the knockout and the call out, and they were like, you know what, we're doing this. But it's so funny because this fight matchup does kind of feel like a big middle finger to Ian Gary. Because who's he going to fight now? There's nobody really above him besides Sean Brady that he could fight now. I don't remember all the rankings off the top of my head, but like, there's Brady, there's Shavkat, there's Edwards. Okay, I think Usman is directly above him. So there's options, but Edwards was definitely the best matchup for Gary, in my opinion. That Brady matchup would be brutal. I mean, a Shavkat rematch could be interesting, but not so soon. I mean, that was Shavkat's last fight. Come on now. The Usman matchup could be good. That's a good one because, like, Usman's an unk, so, like, his grappling style isn't as threatening to Gary as it could be. But Ian's striking, I mean, we already saw, you get sneaky, you could catch Usman. So that's a solid matchup. But I'm getting sidetracked now. Edwards versus Prates. Man, Leon, I feel like the idea that we have of Leon, because he did end up winning a belt and all this and all that and having a defense, there's this idea that, like, he is generally really solid and really technical. And I don't think that that's wrong per se, but I don't think he's technical to any degree that's super special. And like I said, I know that's weird because he had a belt. But when you really think about, like, Leon's entire run that he had, this motherfucker got way overhyped. Way overhyped. The knockout was insane. Don't get me wrong. Probably one of, if not the greatest knockout. I won't say the greatest, but it's definitely like a top 10 UFC knockout all time, if you ask me. Cool. Good for him. Had a great moment. And then that Usman trilogy, one of the worst fights I've ever seen in my fucking life. Leon had so many fouls, didn't get a point taken for whatever reason. Some of the worst reffing I've ever seen in a fight, too. It was terrible. I lost all respect for Leon after that fight, right? And then the ghost of Colby Covington almost takes you out in the 5th round after you've been cleaning his clock for 4. Pause. Like, what kind of choke artist are you, bro? That's crazy. And then Bilal just absolutely turns you into a fucking meme, literally dunking you on your head. Like, how do you get literally dunked on your head, dude? That's so crazy. So, it's not that I don't think Leon has the skills to beat Prates. It's just that I don't think he can. And that feels like the story for every Leon Edwards fight. Like, he could beat everybody that he's ever fought. He's beaten most of them, to be fair. But he could beat every single person that he's fought. He just doesn't have it in him. You know? That head kick he got against Usman, that wasn't like him making a last stand and I'm going to bite on my mouth guard and really show how much heart I have. That was just him having a perfectly set up head kick that worked out. You know? It really wasn't like, it really didn't show any actual heart. And fights like the Colby fight and the Bilal fight, I think, really prove his lack of heart and spirit. So in a matchup like this, I see a guy like Prates who's going to be moving forward, going to be aggressive, throw powerful strikes with a nice mixture of them, mixing in his elbows, mixing up his knees. He's not going to be afraid to get in close, whereas Edwards will want to keep him on the end of his punches, keep him on those kicks. Edwards is going to circle on the outside, and he's going to already be on the back foot, so he's just going to feed into Prates' style. A knockout, I don't really see coming, especially if this is a 3-round fight, as I imagine. I do think Leon will probably just be able to survive, especially if it ends up being a situation where, like, Prates gets the knockdown and he follows him to do a TKO. Then I think Leon will be able to use the grappling skills he does have to kind of nullify the ground and pound and just survive from the top. But then maybe Prates comes back in another round and realizes, okay, well, I'm not going to play that, so I'm just going to make him stand back up. We'll see. I'm going Prates decision is my early pick, but holy shit, 322 is looking insane. And I expect it to get even better. I mean, this is MSG. And even though JDM Makhachev is a crazy headliner and it's a crazy co-main event, they're not McGregor or Jones. So the UFC isn't gaslighting themselves into thinking they don't need to stack the card. So I'm super hyped for this. And the other huge announcement that we got UFC 322. This is the card with Aspinall and Gane on it. We now have Verna Jandiroba versus Dern 2 for the vacant strawweight title, now that Zhang Weili is moving up. And yeah, these comments here kind of tell you all you need to know of what I think about this matchup. I think Mackenzie Dern's going to get cleaned up. Jandiroba has been very, very low-key, putting on a good win streak with solid performances as far as her division and level of competition goes. And, I mean, Dern, look, we laugh at her getting the title shot. When you look at the rest of that, like, top 5, she really is kind of the only other pick. Like, everyone else is like Yan Xiaonan, Tatiana Suarez, and some other lady, I forget the name, and I'm pretty sure all 3 of them they all just lost to Wei Li. So it's kind of like you see from the UFC's perspective why it's hard to give them a title shot. So, a rematch kind of puts a little bit of steam behind it. Dern's hot and popular, so there's something there, and it's, they definitely needed some eye candy in this matchup. No hate to Verna. No hate to Verna. She's cool. I'm sure she's got an excellent personality. But, yeah, I do expect Verna to just absolutely mop the floor with Mackenzie Dern. I'm thinking second round submission. It's probably where I'm at. I know jiu-jitsu is Dern's strong suit, and the big thing that's been screwing over in a lot of these fights is the striking. But, I mean, I don't see her being particularly better than Verna on the ground either. You know what I mean? Like, she's been winning her fights with her grappling, but Jandiroba has been winning her fights with the grappling, if you get what I'm saying. Plus, Verna, I could actually picture, like, even if she does lose this fight, I could picture her winning 1 or 2 more afterwards and being right back in the picture again. Whereas Dern, I mean, even if she wins this fight, like, who do you match her up with? Like, the next best title challenger you would give. Like, I think regardless of who wins this fight, I think the next title challenger would probably be Yan Xiaonan again, because she had a pretty close fight with Wei Li and has won a fight since, if I remember. And I'm sorry, but, like, if looking at what Yan did to Andrade and what Andrade did to Dern, Yan Xiaonan might legitimately murder Mackenzie Dern. So it's like, even if Mackenzie wins the belt in this fight, she will not defend it. She will not hold it. So I'm confidently going with Jandiroba by an early finish. I don't think Dern has what it takes. Not at all. And then what did we get? We got a featured fight announcement as well. Yes, sir. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Bautista. This is another fight that's been rumored for a long time as being in the works. I think there's a lot of talk of it being like a Saudi Arabia fight night main event or something, as if they were going to put fucking Umar on a fight night after he fought for a belt. Like, come on now. He's going to get some special treatment. As far as this matchup goes, I mean, it's a good matchup. Don't get me wrong. I do think Mario will be able to make it competitive, at least for the first round. But then I expect the momentum to shift very quickly and a very, very strong rounds 2 and 3 for Umar coming on later. I think coming off of that Merab fight, he's going to not want to push it so hard in the first. And that's going to allow Mario to have a lot of success early on, because I think Mario's going to be thinking he needs to stake some ground early, kind of jump ahead while he can, and not let Umar build up a bunch of momentum with wrestling and whatnot. Meanwhile, Umar's going to be comfortable knowing he went 5 rounds with Merab. He may not have held up the best against Merab, but he had a pretty solid performance, so he knows rounds 2 and 3 he'll be good, especially if he goes a little bit lighter in the first. And I think the second and third is just going to kind of become a grappling clinic here, because I think Bautista will be happy to engage in the grappling with Umar, and that's going to be a downfall for him, because he's just not going to be on that level. Woo! Man, these huge news day, tons of great fights. I mean, I'm so hyped. These are insanely good fights. I can't even believe we're not even close to October yet. And September looks pretty solid too. So we've got some really good months coming up for the UFC. December's looking like it could be a Volk defense as well. So we eating right now, boys. Anyways, those are my thoughts and reactions on these fights. Some of my early predictions. What do you guys think? Are you excited for these matchups? Which one's the best fight out of all of these that you think? And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay violent.